I'm a dude, and I'm inviting you to join me on a podcast about brews.
Does that include stouts?
Yes, of course it includes stouts. Like I was saying, join us every Saturday on the journey into...
Wait a minute. Do you guys do anything about like IPAs?
Yes,
Stuff like that?
yes, we do IPAs.
Okay.
Yes. Anyway, join us on the Journey into Comics Network for Brews with Dudes.
Whoa, hey, have you guys ever... Do you care if I bring some Zima on?
Yes, I care if you bring Zima. Zima doesn't count. Zima's... Dr. Dongo. Anyway, join us every Saturday for a podcast that delves into the craft brew world.
The following
is a Journey into Comics.
Journey into Comics.
It's a Journey into Comics.
Journey into Comics.
Network.
production.
I've been hurt before of you. Do you have the same scars that I do? I wanna tell the heavens and the firmament to move before I do.
What's up, everybody? This is episode 3 of Crucial Tunes. I'm your host, Chris, and with me is my co-host, Larry. Say hey, Larry.
Hey, Larry.
Hey, Larry. Again. I think that was the exact same intro we did in the last episode, but...
Was it? God damn it.
It's all right.
I thought I was cool.
It's still funny. It's still funny. And I'm sure a lot of people haven't listened to the last episode anyway.
I listened to enough of it to know that he did that.
Fuck yeah! I threw my wine cork across and landed in the garbage.
It sounded almost exactly the same, too. Same tone and everything. But in the intro, you just heard the song Before I Do by Jay Douglas and the Sullen Hearts. Jason is a friend of ours. Jason plays in the band Turnspit. Check out Turnspit. Turnspit's great. But this is Jason's solo project, which I believe they're working on a new EP. I'm not sure when it's going to come out, but keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. You can find them on Facebook. I'll post a link in the comments section or whatever.
Side note: Jason's taste in music is better than anybody's.
I specifically wanted to put Jason in the intro of this episode because this is as they refer to it. The quote is sometimes solo, sometimes with a band. Always queer, emo, indie, country, hipster bullshit. And I love that. Because this episode...
How sick is that?
This episode is going to be all about emo. Why it's titled Let's Talk Emo. So Jason is featured on our emo episode. Also featured in this episode is our special guest. Say hello to Andy Reid.
Hey, what's up, everybody out there listening in Crucial Tunes world?
Andy
I'm really
motherfucking
happy to
Reid.
be here with these Crucial Dudes.
Andy Reid.
Crucial Dudes is a pop punk band, and they're awesome.
They were
anyway.
Yes, I remember them.
Andy Reid is the host of the next episode.
The next episode, I'm the host of one episode of that so far. I have not done the second one. But yeah, I'll still ride the old wave. You might remember me from a little podcast called This Podcast is Garbage.
Well, I wasn't sure if we were going to mention this.
No, I don't give a shit. No, it's my credits, man. It's my credits, man.
That's the shit. That was
my credits.
That was some good ass stuff.
Yeah, and you guys were on that show numerous times.
We had a real good time on
really, like the T-Pig and Get By really helped form my relationship with you guys.
Absolutely.
And, you guys
I was the most frequented guest on This Podcast is Garbage, actually.
The Three Timers Club.
Motherfucker. Only member of the club. President, emperor, king, all around.
I was only on twice, but hey.
Sorry about you.
What you gonna do?
What you gonna do? Not let you into the motherfucking club.
But yeah, so the next episode, when will the next episode of the next episode be?
Until you just chill.
Let's see what these tax checks look like and get me some equipment. I did my first episode at a friend's studio. Just because I really wanted to get it out there. I was tired of sitting around and not podcasting. But now that I've got the second one, or got the first one, I don't feel pressure in any way to put out a second one because I just wanted to be like, even though my old podcast ended, I was like, man, I'm still a podcaster. I still want to get my voice out there, but I need to do it. So I busted my cherry on my first solo episode, and then was like, you know what? If I don't get another one out next week or the next week or the next week or the next month, I'm not worried about it, because as long as I have my ideas and I still have fun doing my podcasts, doesn't matter when I get it out. But once I get my equipment, they will start coming a lot sooner. Sure. I got a friend, a producer friend, who's going to come over to my basement and help me set up my whole shit and tell me like some of the best equipment I can go for what I'm trying to do and what my space is like. So the next episode will be coming back with all that garbage man talk.
Well, you can find the next episode on Facebook. You got your own Facebook page.
Yeah, we got Facebook, Instagram. The next episode with Andy Reid.
Okay.
It might be the next episode W/Andy Reid. I don't know.
I don't remember it.
But the next episode,
you're the only
Andy
one
Reid.
who's gonna like. No, because you made that.
What? Say what now?
We'll link it. So
you'll
be able to find it. So
we're on I'm on SoundCloud. I got my one episode up on SoundCloud. We could probably
Are we on
share
SoundCloud?
that link.
I don't think we are.
Okay.
Possibly. I don't know.
Hey Nate, are we on SoundCloud?
Yes.
He comes down here.
So the first thing before we start getting into the emo talk, just curious, what have you guys been listening to lately? What's been in your turntables? What's been in your MP3 players and your phones? What have you been jamming in your garbage truck?
Well, I usually jam podcasts in the garbage truck.
Okay, that's fair.
I've been listening to a lot. I just got some new speakers for my record player, and I have my shit all unhooked since I moved my turned my studio into a little girl's bedroom, and so I had all my like records and shit unhooked up, and so I bought some new speakers. Hooked them up in the living room. First thing I've listened to, or just most recently, was Oceanic by ISIS. I got the
nice.
and I bought it when I visited Los Angeles in 2017, and was just now listened to it.
Nice.
And it was really fucking awesome to hear it on the vinyl, and I swear I was like hearing stuff I hadn't heard yet. Even after years of listening to the record, I was hearing stuff that I didn't pick up on.
You know what album was like that for me? Which I actually haven't been listening to lately, but Between the Buried and Me, The Silent Circus, I listened to that album on CD probably 1,000 times, and then after I got rid of the CD, I listened to the MP3 version probably 1,000 times, and then just a couple years ago, I got the vinyl, and I listened to it again, and it was a whole nother record,
I think there's a sample of like a fucking tiger roaring or something like that on a Silent Circus song.
Really?
That me and my friends heard one time, and we were like, "What the fuck is that?" And we kept like rewinding it, and it sounded like a roar or some shit. It was so weird. I love that record.
It's a great record.
That was like the kind of like Between the Buried and Me were only one of those only bands that like fell into like that almost deathcore type sounds, but since they had all that
and
prog and all that
backed
keyboard,
out of that.
well, yeah, I loved all the wildness and all the like crazy keyboards and the off time signatures. They were like. It was like a little bit of Rush with like Dillinger Escape Plan with a little bit of like deathcore sound, and I didn't like it at first. I was like, because it took me a long time to get into the vocals, and I still don't like that in most music, but that kept me away from Between the Buried and Me. But now, like, they're one of my favorite bands of all time, probably.
How about you, Larry? What you been listening to?
A bunch of old like Trustkill and Ferret shit.
Nice.
Like Zayo, which
Nora.
I mean I'm always listening to Zayo. Nora, Hide a Key.
Yeah.
Hope's Fall.
Like
Hope's Fall. You listen to the newest Hope's Fall?
Yeah, but I wasn't into it.
Yes.
I love
really?
it.
But no, it was really recent that I listened to it.
I mean,
and
it's
I'm
no
like,
Satellite Years.
But that's like it reminded me. I went back. I'm like, and I listened to Satellite Years. And I listened to
Dude, that Andromeda is.
I didn't really like A-Types much either. Was it A-Types? Is that what it was called?
A-Types. No, I didn't care for
it. It was okay.
I liked the new one though. I did dig it.
But yeah, a lot of just old early 2000s shitty
18
metalcore
Visions
is what I've been listening to a lot lately.
I think the most I've been listening to
fucking rules.
the most I've been listening to of anything lately has been Static X Wisconsin Death Trip.
That is one of my favorite albums of the new metal era, and I think it really kind of transcended a lot of those bands. December is like a fucking you lay down and you go on a trip with that song.
December was written in Wayne Static's first band. Now I can't remember the name of the band, like something Deep Blue.
Deep Blue Sea starring LL Cool J.
No. It's something, but it was a band he was in when he was in Chicago, which actually featured Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins before Billy Corgan was in the Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, so like there was a really long ass gap between that band and Static X, because like the Smashing Pumpkins have been around since like 1990 or something.
Yeah. So this Deep God, I wish I remembered the name of the band. Andy's showing me a picture of him with his hair up like Wayne Static.
Oh,
it's actually pretty sick.
Look like the wife of Frankenstein.
That took a minute to do too.
But I guess so. This band that he was in with Billy Corgan was in like the late '80s, and Billy Corgan was actually the one that convinced Wayne Static to go to California. And that's where he formed Static X.
No shit. He was like, "Hey, get out of here.
Yeah,
this town's not big enough for the both of us."
I'm starting Smashing Pumpkins.
Town is very big. You can be fine.
So the only reason I looked into any of this, the only reason I know any of this, is because I'm sure everybody has seen by now that Static X.
They're playing a show.
They're doing a whole tour.
They're doing a whole tour.
And isn't it like a Wisconsin Death Strip thing?
It's the Wisconsin Death Trip
20 years?
anniversary tour.
Who's
20 years.
singing?
They have not announced who's singing yet.
Oh.
And there's a lot of controversy right now because Frankie Palmieri from Emmure,
yeah,
I don't know why he's even weighing in on it to begin with.
He is the goddamn, he's like the Game and 50 Cent of hardcore.
Yeah.
Big on social media, not relevant musically.
That's pretty fair.
Yeah.
Why that fucking guy?
I don't know.
Because he's always been one of those pot stirrers, shit talkers.
Yeah.
That he's in the same league as that dude from that long-haired, what's the band? They say he touched girls a few years ago.
Every band.
No, I know that, but this guy with Ricky Radke?
Ronnie Radke.
Oh, from blah, blah, blah.
He's Falling in Reverse.
Before that.
Falling in Reverse and...
Escape the Fate.
Yeah.
Both those bands suck.
You know, I piss on those like turds, breaking them in half.
You know, it's so funny.
No, fuck all that.
This is coming up. I just had somebody message me the other day, a guy that I used to work with years ago. I don't talk to him that much, and he just randomly messages me the other day, and he's like, "Hey, have you heard of Ronnie Radke?" And I'm like, yeah, kinda, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh well, apparently he's really pissed at me on Twitter, and so his fans are coming after me and stuff. Because I guess Ronnie Radke made some shit statement about like some guys that run a horror zine kind of website. I don't remember the details of it, but my buddy decided to weigh in on Ronnie's page and say, hey, kind of just defend the guy, say, hey, there's no reason for you to be talking shit or whatever. And Ronnie just went after him and retweeted him, and then his fans came back.
He's one of those type of guys where he's got a legion of fucking skanky ass fans, male and female skanky. And
male skanky.
Ronnie cares so much about his fans. He's the greatest guy.
He cares so much about them. He wants to touch their 15-year-old titties.
And they are all 15.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody who's any bands whose fan base is like 15 and below. I mean, even if you like a song of theirs, you're not going to trust anything they have to say outside of the music they're playing. Their fan base is under 15.
When you hear about a musician that you love doing something sketchy sexually with a child, it's a huge bummer.
Well, that could actually be a big part of our discussion today.
It
definitely
could.
I mean, let's talk about why Warped Tour really ended, guys.
That's not a secret, though. Everyone knows why Warped Tour ended. That guy's just like, I'm fed up with booking all you sick fucks. So
when you need a 100-foot fence or a gate or passage between the stage and the fans because the fucking...
Because, I mean, everyone who goes to Warped Tour is 16.
I think I went to my last Warped Tour when I was 25.
I've never been to Warped Tour.
I've been to Warped Tour.
2005 Warped
I think
Tour.
9 times I went to Warped Tour.
Saw some of the best bands I've ever seen in my life at Warped Tour.
You find a bunch of great bands at Warped Tour, and like really in retrospect, it's a huge fucking bummer that it's over. Because like
in a lot of ways, it's a
festival now.
Well, no, it's just gonna be like it's gonna be like a 1 day, maybe 3 city.
There's like 3 or 4 different spots all over the country where they're gonna have a weekend. It's
for now. For this year, and then they're gonna come back.
They're
gonna come back with a few more next year, and then there'll be a few more the year after, and
all of a sudden Warped Tour will be back again.
It's Warped Tour again.
No, but there was a thing like somewhere online where they were talking about the locations.
Yeah,
and it was like, there's nothing fucking around here. There's nothing fucking around here. I'm like, Riot Fest is here. That's why it's not happening here.
Which is steadily also going.
And it's the same fucking festival. It will be the same festival. Also, Riot Fest used to be awesome.
Yeah,
I haven't gone to Riot Fest in a couple years because I see the lineup and I'm like, fuck, I'm not fucking
impressed.
going. I want to go a single day. Fuck that.
Last time I went was 16.
Which one was that?
I don't remember. I went to
that was Morrissey.
Yes, it was Morrissey.
I missed Morrissey played a show on my birthday, and I didn't go because we were recording an EP. Fuck y'all.
You're
better off though.
Than Morrissey.
Yeah.
Let's not go down this road. No, we're fucking not.
You
are not Morrissey, motherfucker.
No, your artistic output is more important to you and to me and to Chris than Morrissey. Your creative output.
This can of Coke Zero is more important to me than Morrissey.
Says the guy who's I've been listening to Static X
Fucking right.
So, yeah, dude, because Static X fucking slaps.
I'm the weirdo who likes Morrissey more than Static X.
That's okay. You liking Morrissey and liking the Smiths and all that, that's fine. I understand
okay.
their cultural impact. I understand their cultural influence.
Word.
But
as a
Morrissey
person,
is a
I
fuck.
fucking hate Morrissey.
Yes, there you go. There
Morrissey
you go.
is a bad guy.
There you go.
He would not let any food vendors at Riot Fest serve any meat during his set.
At least he's not touching kids, though. I do have to give him that.
Yeah, I'd much
he
rather
doesn't
him
fuck anybody.
Yeah, because he's asexual.
Bullshit. He's fucking gay.
Yeah, he's probably gay. He's probably gay. I always thought
You heard it here first.
hot take from Larry Rosinko on Morrissey.
If you hear that, just that bite me going, fuck Morrissey, he doesn't fuck anybody, he's gay. It sounds really insensitive. It's not like that.
I'm going to put that in all of
Morrissey's
our bumper ads.
fucking gay.
I'm gay, I can say that.
Yep.
All right. So, anyway, on to the topic of today's episode.
Right on.
We are going to talk.
Morrissey's useless dick.
We're going to talk emo, which I feel like emo is
It's
one
a very
of the,
controversial term.
it's one of the most misunderstood.
Fucking A, it is.
One of the
really
most
is, but it doesn't
misunderstood
have to
genres
be.
of music.
It doesn't have to.
But as I was going through, so I'm not gonna lie, I don't know a ton about emo. I know like a brief history, so I did a lot of studying before this episode. I read a couple articles, I read the Wikipedia and all that. I listened to a bunch of the old bands and stuff.
9 times out of 10, Wikipedia is kind of a shit source.
Right, for
Yeah.
sure.
The emo
It's pretty
history
solid,
on
right?
Wikipedia is not fucking bad.
It's not bad.
It's
not
really
bad.
not.
So anyway, so as I was reading through it, I realized just by sampling a bunch of the bands from each era of emo, it is a very, very broad genre of music.
Huge.
There's so many ways it's all very similar.
Right,
It
right.
all connects back to a source, and if you listen closely enough, you can hear bits and pieces of those early source materials spraying throughout or sprawling across all the waves of emo. The waves, as they say.
What would, like, the thing that ties together all of those separate waves?
Okay, well,
I think
Just
is lyrical
lyrically
content.
mostly.
I would say, not necessarily, because there's a lot of emo that's about like that's really sappy and lovey and dovey, my girlfriend, my boyfriend type stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's emo that's very me, my introspection. A good way to put it would be an emotionally charged brand of hardcore punk, marked by introspective lyrics, personal lyrics, and intense catharsis.
Isn't that the Wikipedia definition?
Is that the Wikipedia definition?
I think word
it's
for
pretty
word.
close.
Oh, really?
Pretty close.
Yeah, I read it on. I took it from a band's like a review about a band.
I think whoever wrote that review took it from Wikipedia.
No shit. Now I feel like a triple plagiarist.
Oh no, it's all right. Almost all my notes are from Wikipedia, so.
But
Said anyone who's ever taken notes about anything.
So emo is short for emotional hardcore.
or
At the very
emo-core
the
was
very
one of
root of it, yes. The very
emo-core.
root of it was
And
emotional
that all
hardcore.
because at the time hardcore was not very melodic.
Now we're talking, by the way,
hardcore 80s.
80s,
Black
yes.
Flag,
Minor Threat.
Minor Threat.
In fact, Minor
DRI.
Threat.
Yeah, with Minor Threat is a they're at the source of emo.
Yes.
Ian Mackay. I mean, we can go there. I would say that hardcore at the time was very brutal, very aggressive,
Right.
a lot like it is in a lot of ways now still.
Right.
But it was still in its adolescent phase at the time.
Right.
And it was very politically charged.
Right. It was
very,
about us, and it was about them, and
Yeah,
but
it was very us versus them. It was very government, political, socio type stuff.
Sure.
And emo was like, we're going to talk about a little different topics. We're going to talk. It focused more on melody, sonically, and lyrically was very, like I said, a lot more introspective.
Sure.
Talking about the way the singer feels about the world.
I got
around
way less
them.
social and way more personal.
Way less social.
So one of the first bands that's ever mentioned in any of the articles that you read about emo is Rites of Spring.
Yes.
Rites of
Which
Spring.
Rites of Spring came from the DC area.
Yeah, we can
where-
basically say that emo started in Washington D.C.
just like hardcore.
Just like just like a part of hardcore. Yeah.
Well, the part that everybody.
Yeah, the Black Flags, the Bad Brains, but New York still had
Sure,
hardcore going
sure.
on pretty hard at the time. But yeah, you can Rites of Spring.
Rites of Spring, which
sure.
was actually the article on Wikipedia specifically says that Rites of Spring was founded by a guy that was a big fan of Minor Threat.
Guy Pixiato.
He was a huge Minor Threat fan,
Yes.
decided to start his own band, became Rites of Spring, which was a lot more melodic,
Right.
a lot more
it still had the
personal,
it
a
still
lot
had
more.
the ferocity of hardcore and the searing, charged hardcore, but a lot more melody. And I see how I attribute that to both Greg Ginn of Black Flag and his very outside of the box guitar playing for the hardcore world.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And a Minneapolis band from 1979 called Husker Du, who's
Husker.
1984 Zen Arcade.
Which, I mean, that's a really good thing to bring up in this regard.
It was like Zen Arcade took everything about their album. Zen Arcade took everything about hardcore, but then they mixed like straight rock, psychedelic, more of an indie sound into it. And then these emo bands were taking everything about hardcore and mixing that Zen Arcade kind of sound into it, where there was so much more melody. It still had, they were screaming and they were singing, and there was these, not everything was what's the word I'm looking for here? Angular or singular. It was really discordant, not so angular guitar lines and time signatures and but really it was really just another form of the hardcore genre, of the punk rock even genre.
it was this if I can talk today, the same articles that talk about Rites of Spring forming also say that it was more of a subgenre of post-hardcore,
prog punk. It's a great way to describe those early sounds. Another band is Embrace, which
was Ian MacKaye.
Ian MacKaye of Minor Threat went on to form Embrace, and it was basically
after he heard Rites of Spring.
After he signed Rites of Spring to Discord. And so at the time it was like, and they say the word emo-core started at an Embrace show. Someone yelled out, "Embrace is emo-core," almost as if a diss.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say that,
and then those are just the the legends, the rumors.
But just like any
not
genre,
a video on Instagram of that.
Just like any I said video. Just like any genre out there, like subgenre, I should say.
Right.
The originators of emo hated being referred to as emo.
And I think a lot of bands even that spawned from that still hated it too. And I would say that even the bands that are still emo today don't like it. They might use it ironically.
No, bands that are emo today fucking eat that shit up.
I was going to say the bands...
we're emo! Like, fuck you. No, you're not.
Yeah, fuck all that. But then the crazy thing was...
a shitty rock band with makeup on.
The two dudes, you had Guy and one other guy from
Rites of
Spring. And Ian, they, once Embrace put out their one little record, they formed Fugazi together.
Right.
Which is like basically the band that broke that post-hardcore prog punk sound to the masses. Like, I remember being young, and when I first was getting into alternative rock, 92, 91, 2, 3, 4, I heard Fugazi. I remember hearing them on 120 Minutes. They weren't an emo band. They weren't. They were just another alt rock band I was seeing on 120 Minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't know that, and I never got into them. I didn't know about their history. I probably didn't even know about Minor Threat yet. I don't think I got into Minor Threat till about 94, 95. And so I didn't know anything about it. And then as I grew and got into more underground punk and underground hardcore and what I didn't know was emo but was emo, I finally found out, these guys started that sound. I've been listening to it for years and didn't even know. Now I'm into it. And because there's so many stuff that I didn't get into when it came out, and I get into years later.
That's how everything is with me.
Years later.
True.
We were all too young for first wave emo.
Yeah.
Super true.
Were you born? I was 84, 85?
I was born in 85.
I was born in 80. So I was like...
I wasn't alive for a minute. Technically, I got really into second wave emo, and I probably was too young to be in a second wave emo, but I was into it at the time.
So second, okay.
Let me just.
Hey, it might even be third.
Let's put a pin or a topper on this first wave part.
Sure.
If you guys want to go out and listen to where emo as we know it really started, you need to check out Rites of Spring. That's RITE.
Yes.
Like ritual. Rites of Spring.
Embrace.
Fugazi. Start there.
I've also got
and Husker Du, and listen to Zen Arcade by Husker Du.
I've also got.
I don't care what kind of music you like. Who that album is, it spawned so many great.
That's
sounds.
true. It's like a catchy Sabbath on a Hella Xanax.
Yeah, hell yeah. A catchy Sabbath on Hella Xanax.
I've also got
so tight.
the bands Gray Matter and Beefeater are also attributed to that first
Gray Matter.
Gray Matter was right at the end.
Right.
They were putting out albums like
87, 80.
Yeah, they weren't
8-ish.
Yeah,
and about 20 years later, the term gray matter gets reintroduced into an emo thing. We'll get there.
Also, I wanted to mention before we got too far into this, a lot of people, and I read this first on Wikipedia, and I was like, that can't be true. So I looked it up on several other websites. A lot of people attribute the very first emo album as being the Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys.
By the Beach
Which,
May
I mean,
16th of 1966 is when that album dropped.
It's not a far
It's not a far
thing
stretch.
to make, because, I mean, it's a...
Because that was like the
I
first
just-
mainstream rock and roll album that came out and was super different from everything else, and it was super personal. It was like a deep search into his self instead of being like just about their, about cars and girls
Right,
and
of
surfing
course,
and
of
stuff.
course. I can see the grandparent like lineage.
Right.
But if you ask me, emo, there wouldn't be emo without punk and hardcore.
Sure. Oh no, no,
So,
I'm not
anything
saying
that came before the punk revolution. You know what? Punk. If you ask me, punk started in the late '60s too.
Yeah.
By who?
The Who.
Well, okay, that could be one of them, but I mean, even more like the MC5, the Stooges.
Sure.
A lot of the garage type era stuff that was going on, the surf type sound, the surfy garage stuff that was
Dude,
going on. That,
yeah.
like, the Zombies, that was fucking punk. It was those guys broke all the rules, didn't care about radio play, didn't care what you thought of them, put out little 45s all the time, and it wasn't.
And that's exactly what punk bands are still doing.
Yeah, yes, exactly, exactly.
All right, so cap on the
Cap
first
off.
wave of emo.
Okay, now
first wave of emo.
Now what are we now? We get into the second wave, and that's when I believe that's when emo hits the Midwest.
Right.
That was like when it was as it wasn't quite mainstream, but the
No, it
emo bands,
definitely wasn't.
the emo
It
bands
wasn't.
of that time started touring with more mainstream bands.
Yes.
Right.
So there was a gaining popularity, and that's when it starts spreading across the country,
Now,
and you start seeing
the twinkly, long, happy riffage, mixed with like the spazzed out, off time weirdness that became that second wave emo. It can pretty much all be brought back to one or two bands, and I'm gonna have to say that first band is Cap'n Jazz.
Captain
Cap'n Jazz.
Jazz.
And-
Yes.
and they are basically, I think they're the grandfathers of emo as we know it. The revival.
That's not true.
The revival bands that are out now sound more like the second wave stuff than
Yeah,
they
but that's
do
not
the
because of
third
Cap'n
wave
Jazz.
mo-
That's because a bunch of kids who went to fucking Berkeley discovered American football.
well, but Cap'n Jazz and American football's their lineage is the exact same. It's the same dudes.
I get
You
that,
got Cap'n
but I'm not
Jazz,
going to put
Promise Ring, Joan of Arc, American football. All those
Sunny Day.
they don't no members, no crossover.
Yeah,
You're
whatever.
saying those bands are.
You got Mike and Tim Kinsella.
Well, yeah,
from-
I understand that, but
Who
like
went
I'm
on
talking
to-
about
But let's back up though to the second wave, and so Cap'n Jazz is a perfect example.
bunch of 15-year-olds from Chicago
Sure.
making a sound that wasn't really heard of quite yet. It was it was like they took the DC emo sound and they added like more of a Midwest pop punk kind of sound to it.
It's said that the second wave of emo drew more from indie rock and pop punk than it did from hardcore.
Like,
Yes,
if I was
believe
going to
that, too.
take a simple way to describe what Cap'n Jazz was doing, it's like Lifetime covering Rites of Spring songs.
Okay, I see that because
Yeah.
it's pop punk.
It is. It's pop punk, but it's good.
And it's very it's still very layered, very dense music, a lot of overlapping guitar lines, a lot of sprawled out parts that don't necessarily feel like they fit into one another, but at the same time totally do. You know, they got a lot of surprising changes. The vocal patterns are really, I think, what has come to define the emo revival of today. And then, like I said, they kind of were it was almost like the royal bloodline of emo, just because of part of the guys in Cap'n Jazz went on to form Promise Ring, then the other guys went on to form Joan of Arc, who later became American Football, who somehow, with all the other stuff out there in the emo world, by the time their first album came out in 1998, 1999, somehow they became the flag bearer of classic emo.
Yeah.
When really, I mean, they were at the end of the second wave.
Right.
Yes.
And it was they didn't even like a lot of people say Weezer had a big influence on
Weezer had a huge fucking influence on second wave emo.
and on pop punk too. But it was almost like those emo bands that were influenced by that, they got more swept into the pop punk stuff, and emo bands that weren't so much influenced by Weezer became more like American Football, I think. And I don't think I like those records, but I'm not going to stand here and die on the American Football hill. And it seems to me that like if you don't like American football, then you don't like emo. And I say, suck my balls.
No, I fucking love emo. And you know what? American football is just about as overrated as Aerosmith.
Yeah, they're very overrated. I like them.
I like them.
I like them, but I'm not.
You can't say. I mean, if you ask anybody, Never Meant has to be in the top 10 of your top 10 emo tracks.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, even beyond personal opinion, we have to admit that the effect on the cultural zeitgeist that song had, it's up there. It's just like Clarity by Jimmy Eat World. If you ask me, that's the greatest emo album of the 90s.
That's maybe the greatest emo album of all time.
Okay, it's definitely high up there for me. And that sounds nothing like the Cap and Jazzes or the Embraces and stuff like that. It's nothing like that. So so you had the end of an era with the first wave stuff, and we had the Cap and Jazz and all these bands we're talking about now. Somehow
it got simpler.
Where did pop punk and emo really start to meet in the 90s more and more?
Lifetime.
Because a lot which spawned sounds like Movie Life and Alkaline
I was going to say
Alkaline Trio.
So where that marriage of emo and pop punk, to me, just looking up the history, which, like I said, I'm not the emo historian,
right? And
I had to do a lot of research for this, but from what I was reading, it seems like the marriage of pop punk and emo was essentially Drive-Thru Records.
Okay,
fuck that.
Because listen, Drive-Thru Records had signed at that time Midtown, Starting Line, something corporate.
Dude, we aren't even close to this era yet.
I know. This is like late
sorry.
90s. This is like late 90s.
Remember, Nothing Gold Can Stay by
Came out in 1999.
But then they also at that time had signed Newfound Glory. They found huge commercial success with Newfound Glory, which kind of helped the emo label mates find more success, and that's where it got brought into like more of a melting pot. Was Drive-Thru Records and also then Vagrant Records, which is around the same time.
For sure. That was Alkaline Trio. That was Matchbook Romance. That was the Dashboard Confessional for a long time.
Get Up Kid, Saves
the Day.
Hey Mercedes.
Yeah, for
Deep
sure.
Elm Records.
Yeah, for sure.
Saddle Creek.
Now, these are all mid-90s startups, basically.
Yes.
Startup record labels.
And the end of second wave emo is what took emo and this poppy, catchy, digestible shit and kind of crushed it all together.
That's not, okay, no, say... All right, so if we're going to go... Let's say that second wave was like, I don't know, 94 to 99.
It started as early as... like 91 with Jawbreaker and Sunny Day. And
Let's not forget Sunny Day Real Estate. At the time, I think they were the first. They broke away even further from the hardcore sound. They still had that urgency.
They were
but they were
grunge.
really gonna. Yeah, they really brought in the alt rock revolution of the night. I think I actually wrote a note on that. Yes, that Sunny Day Real Estate, a 1992 Seattle band.
I was going to say the grungy alt rock sound is perfect for a band from Seattle.
The explosion of the 90s really helped that band. And if you don't know, two of the guys in Sunny Day Real Estate went on to join Foo Fighters.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't do that much
Mendel
research.
And Chris Shiflett.
Yeah, there you go.
Both.
Well, that's cool.
And they both have signature Fender models, and they're sick. I had a really great point.
Well, then we also now when we talk about second wave, we can't leave out Braid.
Yeah, Braid.
Texas is the reason.
Texas is the fucking reason. What took. Oh my god, I'm so happy you said this. That's what took the poppy, fast, upbeat, digestible, easy shit to listen to, and the weird Cap and Jazzy, fucked up time signature technical emo. Sure. That was the first fucking one. Period.
They were one of the first second wave bands I ever got into. Was Texas the Reason and Braid and Jimmy Eat World. Which they also, they're definitely second wave. I think their first full length came out in 96. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Knapsack.
Sure. You know what label in the late 90s had a lot of great emo on it that doesn't get put into the same thing as like Vagrant and Deep Elm and that? Tooth and Nail had a bunch of phenomenal emo in the 90s.
I actually think that listening to Tooth and Nail era bands really led me down an emo path more and more and more.
Like...
For a while, they were the only labels putting out hardcore that I liked.
Further Seems Forever is like the only band I like more than I like MXPX. That's like...
Now, when you start talking about Further Seems Forever, we start talking about when I first really started dipping my toe into I listened to emo. We're talking about Further Seems Forever.
Further Seems Forever, by definition, ruined my life.
Excellent. Did you ever see him live with Chris Carrabba? you ever get a chance?
Not in the 90s, but when they toured.
I saw them in like 02.
I saw them in 2011.
Okay.
They put out one album on Rise Records, and they did a tour, and they only played like 2 new songs. They put All the Moon Is Down.
Yeah.
And it was, I couldn't believe
Moon
it
Is Down's an
happened.
incredible record. Incredible record. Do you guys remember Fetla's? The store out
I used
in
to work
Buffalo?
there. I used to buy Jacobs from Fetla's, motherfucker.
I wrote the entire lyrics to the song "The Moon Is Down" somewhere in the rafters, hidden in the very top of that place. Like
And
in
no
the
one
deepest,
will ever see it again.
I know, like the deepest, darkest corner of that place.
The only
That's the
time-
most emo. That's the most
Is
emo
it
thing
not
I've ever
most
heard.
emo?
The only time I've
I used to steal
ever
from there and trade it for
cried
weed,
at a
too, so I don't know
show
how evil
is
that
when
is.
they played New Year's Project at that show. It's the only time I ever cried at a show.
I know.
Just because, like, I'm
I don't know if
belting
I-
out the chorus up against the rail at the bottom lounge. Just think, I can't fucking believe this is happening.
Yeah, we saw him at that bowling alley. What was that place called?
Fireside.
Fireside.
I
yeah.
saw him
We
in like
Further-
2003 with Jason Gleason. I saw
okay.
him with Jason Gleason a bunch of times.
Okay.
But never original lineup with Chris Crabbe, but just
Yeah, it
later
was
down
like
the road.
we saw them it was probably their very last tour with.
And honestly,
I had just gotten into them.
Their album they did with Jason Gleason, I think, is better than The Moon Is Down.
What was that one called?
How to Start a Fire.
How to Start a Fire. That's right.
Phenomenal
It's a good
record.
record. Good record.
Their third singer was in a bunch of great 90s emo
Yeah,
bands.
Sensefield. Yeah. And he passed away last year.
Was it last year or 2 years ago? Just not too long ago.
I forget his name.
John Bunch.
John Bunch.
I saw
There you
the
go.
first show he ever did with Further Seems Forever at Cornerstone 2004. And it was fucking atrocious. And I was really, really upset.
Well, that's a bummer.
Dude, you have no idea. I wanted to just like bury myself.
Don't you hate it when you see when like a band you love like just pisses you off or depresses the fuck out of you live? Don't you? Isn't that like a bad feeling? Glassjaw really did it to me.
Glassjaw Riot Fest 2013 or 14. Jesus Christ, it was bad.
When I saw them with, I think they were with Coheed just a few years ago, probably like 2016, and it was real bad.
Can we take a quick break to say that Coheed is touring with Mastodon, and Every Time I
got
Die,
tickets.
and it looks like the
tickets.
sickest show ever.
She got me tickets for Valentine's Day.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
That is going to be such an
I
awesome
saw that.
tour.
I'm like, hey, Andy Reid. All this is Andy Reid.
You know, I've seen Coheed and Cambria like 25 times. This will be like my 26th.
If you
time
catch
seeing
Andy
them.
Reid at that show, tell him any opinion you have, and he will tell you it is wrong.
No, I'll tell you why I either agree or disagree with it.
Mostly disagree.
Hey, I'm the professor. What do you want from me? That's what I'm doing right now.
I will campaign hashtag Andy Reid knows best forever.
Yeah, hey, do it.
So,
I'm
I'm
trying.
running for Portage Mayor. That's my.
Oh, fuck that.
That's my.
so tail end of emo wave 2.
Yes.
Is we're talking Texas is the reason, which they're not tail end, but they're like
They're in there, yeah.
they're in there.
They're
Mineral.
mid to tail end.
Mineral,
Mineral,
Promise
1998.
Ring.
Have we brought up Mineral?
No, we haven't.
Oh my god, why?
Because I'm not a fan. I know you
All
are.
these bands sound the same.
I know, but I couldn't get into his voice.
Oh,
Vocally, I'm just not a fan.
I love Mineral.
Yeah, I know you do. But
Job
I
box.
understand. I am not going to gun. I understand their impact on the culture.
You know who we have not mentioned for like tail end second wave emo? What a specific thing to talk about.
Yeah. This is
Jets
really
to fucking Brazil.
yeah,
Jets
for
to
sure.
Brazil.
For sure. But they were so much more indie.
Which just
So
just to
it's
Brazil was who from Sunny Day, right? Am I?
Yeah. Someone from Sunny
Or
Day.
wait, was it Sunny Day or Jawbreaker?
No, definitely not Jawbreaker.
It wasn't Jawbreaker.
I'm now. I got to.
We might as well Google that shit.
Yeah.
Google that
Well,
shit.
while you're googling that,
because I know it was either
rival
Sunny Day or
schools,
Jawbreaker.
same kind of situation.
Love Rival Schools. Though.
Love Rival
Because
Schools.
I'm also a big Walter Shuffles fan.
Sure.
Because as early as middle school, I got into Black Flag and like Gorilla Biscuits and shit like that, and Youth of Today and all that shit. And then early high school, the Quicksand record came out, and another 120 Minutes was my go-to.
Sure, great show.
Because they played like there was Alt Nation. But Alt Nation played like the top 40 alternative stuff.
Alt Nation.
And Sunday night, it was 120 minutes, 2 hours of the stuff you never heard of. Saw the Quicksand video. Ordered the Quicksand album off Columbia House. For a
Through
penny.
paper on the
For a
mail.
penny,
Took like 3 weeks to get that
Manic
shit.
Compression became one of my favorite records of all time. Probably influenced why I like bands like Deftones so much. And which Deftones have so many emo parts. It's not even funny.
Dude, that's super true.
So
They're a quarter emo band. I swear to God.
Jets to Brazil was founded by Blake Schwarzenbach,
Of
former
Jawbreaker.
frontman of Jawbreaker.
Yes. Okay.
Fuck all of us.
Yep.
Get it all confused.
Everything
Yeah.
we have, said so far
Hey,
has zero credibility.
We are not
Hey, no.
expert.
We looked into it. So.
Hey, at least we look into it.
Googling something doesn't give you any cred.
But
Just means you have a
no,
phone.
no, it
So
just
what?
calls you out on your own bullshit, which proves you do have cred.
Yeah,
Calling yourself out and correcting yourself.
Oh, I just don't do that.
Yeah. Well,
So-
because hashtag Larry Rosinko knows best.
I want to say before
Fuck off, man.
before we put a cap on second wave emo,
Because we're getting into the big shit now.
Yeah,
we're getting
this
into
is
the
why
year
anyone-
emo broke.
I wanted to say
year emo died.
my two favorite probably emo records, because I'm not a huge emo guy, admittedly. My two favorite emo records of all time were from the second wave, which were Drive Like Jehu, Yank Crime.
You think that's emo? You think that's like
Fuck you, that's
they're
not
noise-
emo. That's emo. That is emo.
It's noise rock. It's post-hardcore noise rock. It's not.
It is
it's got more
post-hardcore, it
relation-
is
it's
noise
got
rock,
more
but it
relation
is-
to Big Black than to Fugazi.
Big Black, like from Robin Big?
No, Big Black, Steve Albini's band.
I don't know what that is.
You don't know who Steve Albini is?
I know who Steve Albini is. He's like the best producer of all time.
He actually
But-
just did a DJ set at the Michigan City.
Oh, you know what DJ
brewery.
sets are? Boring to watch.
But fun to listen to if you like who's doing it. But yeah, boring to watch.
Well, Yank Crime. I guess if
It's a good record. I'm not taking away from it. I just don't never really thrown it into that emo label.
The reason I really love that record is because they're like a direct influence on Botch, who is one of my all-time favorite hardcore bands.
For sure.
If you listen to Drive Like Jehu and then you listen to Botch,
definitely.
It's
They're
When you
almost
bring
the same
that in, and
guitar.
then I take what you
But hey,
said about the noise rock weird shit. Yeah, I get it, and I agree
Botch
now.
is, and you know what? Botch is a noise core band too.
Yeah.
like they were. That's a whole nother episode.
Sure.
Talking about the Botch and how they influenced Norma Jean.
Oh, yeah.
And
100%.
Norma
Math
Jean
rock,
just took
math
for
core.
Grieve recorded the Botch album. Like, oh, we wrote this.
it was the best Norma Jean album.
Bless the Martyr is my favorite Norma
I like
Jean
Oh
record.
God, Oh God.
Oh God, it's the best
the
Norma Jean
Aftermath?
album.
Yeah.
I like Redeemer too. But like
I like
said,
Redeemer too.
These are whole. This is a
Redeemer
whole
and
nother-
Oh God are
we're
super similar.
we're getting
No, we're
into
not
it.
talking about Christian hardcore.
My other favorite emo album, which I guess you guys can argue whether this is an emo album or not, but I was going to say Pinkerton by Weezer.
Definitely an emo album. Yeah.
It's an emo
Pinkerton-
album, but God, why
I know.
the fuck does everyone have such a raging, stiff as fuck boner for
Because
Pinkerton?
it was the last album that Weezer made that actually meant something.
Green came out after
You
that.
couldn't predict that because I loved Pinkerton when it first came out. I could have never thought, oh, they're gonna suck after this.
They didn't.
What
Green
it was
is so
what it was-
good.
What it was is they.
Fuck you guys. I'm gonna leave.
No. Green's got some okay
I don't-
stuff, but
I don't
it's
like the
garbage
Green album.
in comparison.
No, it's not. Pinkerton sucks.
No, Pinkerton was the mainstream band doing the underground sound. It was all the bands that were brewing, that were influenced by Weezer and the way they were sounding. Weezer had the big platform, and they wrote a record like that. If you ask me, Pinkerton sounds like what should have been their first record.
Right.
And then the Blue Album sounds like what should have been when they got polished by a label.
The Blue Album sounds like the Blue Album, and Pinkerton sounds like they shouldn't have made it.
So Pinkerton sounds like the album that they wanted to make.
Exactly.
The Green
They did
album.
make it.
The Green album sounds like the album everybody else wanted them to make. And that's why I like Pinkerton, because it sounds like their
Well, from
true
Weezer's
music.
standpoint, like, hey, we made Pinkerton, and if the label's like, hey, make this record, and you're going to make billions of dollars, they'd be like,
But they didn't make billions of dollars off Pinkerton.
No, Pinkerton.
I'm talking
They
off
made-
Green.
Yeah,
Yeah, they made
that's
billions
exactly
of dollars off Green.
So,
but also that Green was how many years later after Pinkerton?
see, that's
For real, I like 8.
so.
8 years,
So
yeah.
Pinkerton came out, and it was like just panned by everybody. Nobody liked it.
because it was so different than Blue.
Right. But it was their passion project. That's the
Definitely.
album that they wanted to make. And then they say that's the reason that Rivers went into like such a deep depression and they went on hiatus and he went back to college or whatever because
nobody
that
liked
was
his-
that was the
nobody
album
liked
they,
his passion
right,
project.
Right. And then when they finally decided to come back and do another album, they were just like, well, we
They
need
had
to
write
sell
off
records.
they had to write off that name recognizability because those Blue Album songs were
Yep.
still hits. They were still getting regular radio play. Blue is probably still paid for, bought today.
Yeah.
People are still buying.
I would
physical
still buy
copies of
Blue
that
Album.
record. Me too.
I
I
love
the
that
Blue
album.
album. It's fucking amazing. But after that, I don't think that Blue or Green had a bunch of catchy ass, great, fun Beverly Hills party songs.
It's radio
Beverly
rock.
Hills was non-green.
Was it?
It might as well have been.
Oh, it wasn't.
But it wasn't.
That was Maladroit.
Maybe. I don't know. I stopped listening to Weezer after Green.
Hashtag. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hash pipe.
hash pipe. Photograph. Like these fucking songs.
Island in the Sun.
Dude, the intro to Hash Pipe.
Island in the Sun's a good song.
Dude, the intro to Hash Pipe is fucking heavy as fuck.
I'm not saying
if it was halftime,
it sounds like the Monsters theme song.
I'm not saying
it
that.
Sounds like Hatebreed.
I'm not saying that Green Album and Beyond are like poorly written. They're not bad songs. But to me, that's not Weezer, because you could tell that they put everything into
That album
Pinkerton.
is called Weezer.
They put everything they had into Pinkerton, and everything after that was just their record company.
I agree.
Word, and I get that, but dude, I would put some shit that wasn't me into a record.
They sold their souls for rock and roll.
For millions of dollars?
Fuck yeah, I'd do anything for millions of dollars. Like,
Yeah,
fuck,
I
what
I
would
mean,
too.
call it sellout or not. I don't care.
Dude,
I'd be a
like,
sellout with
sell
millions
out,
of
Sell
dollars.
out every stadium I play.
Like, dude, you're not fucking cool. You sold out. Like, yeah, well, you know what? I'm gonna shit on you with all my money because I'm a sellout.
Sorry, I made what I love into a career.
Right. All right, so we can put a cap on
but
Second
you
Wave?
said
Yeah, I think so.
your favorite 2 emo albums are from Second Wave.
Yes.
What's your favorite Second Wave emo album?
I'm gonna have to say probably Clarity, and then I really, really like the Right to Spring 2 albums put together. That's first.
That's first wave. I'm talking Second Wave.
Sure. I'm gonna say Clarity, and I don't know, anything by Braid.
Word. So I'll go like maybe what was it, 97?
Texas is the reason really a lot too.
Sure.
Hey guys, Deadpool here. Just wanted to tell you about a little event that's happening on March 23rd. Fun for Funds. It's a Journey into Comics Network event featuring live podcasts from Brews with Dudes, Podcastrophe, Dungeons with Dudes, and Journey into Comics, as well as performances by band number 1, Boner Jovi. Ooh, that sounds fun. Walk Among Us, and Yesterday's Chips. Also featuring live stand-up by comedian Patrick Murray. He's so much fun. Presented by Journey into Comics Network and the Doom Room. North End Pub, Lafayette, Indiana. Doors for 3, podcasts at 4, with bands at 7:30. $10. It's 21 and up. Don't try to sneak in, you silly kids.
What's that Texas is the Reason album?
I think it's just called that, and it wasn't. It was just like a. It was more like a. Oh, this band made a bunch of records.
No,
let's
they
put
had
a
this
bunch
one-
of songs.
they had
Let's put them together.
An album. It was like the title was a question.
It was the white background instead of in cursive.
Yes. It's in fucking.
I was just
amazing
listening
album.
to it today. I was like pounding my brain in this afternoon. with a bunch
I'm
of these
trying.
My
My phone is
favorite
going so slow.
second wave emo album is not my favorite album by this band, but my favorite album by this band, I think,
In that era?
might be like very beginning for third wave, but Through Being Cool by Saves the Day is probably my favorite second wave emo.
See, I would have.
I think
That's
Save the
another
Day-
band that I would have called that album a pop punk record. Like more like a really a pure.
There's times,
almost
there's
a
parts
pure
of it that I would
pop
call it a
punk record.
fucking hardcore record.
By the way, the
not
Texas
get
is the
carried away.
Reason album. It's called Do You Know Who You Are?
Do you
God.
know who you are?
Apparently not.
Yes, yes.
Fuck.
Google to the rescue again.
Dude, I don't make any excuses or anything about
I'm
not
made of
remembering
excuses.
names or anything like
That's-
that because there's too many.
I know.
And I admit that like I only have room in my head for so much. I
That's-
barely remember your name half the
Larry
time.
called
you
me
know?
out in the last episode for Google and during our episodes so much.
the
but
biggest,
I
the
have
most,
to,
down,
'cause
the
I
most
won't
downloaded
remember.
podcast on the planet has someone who Googles for him.
Yeah.
So
That's what we need
not
an
worry
intern.
About it.
We
Yeah.
need an intern to do that for us, so we don't
Yeah.
have to do it.
What, man, God, you think I'm driving the Lowell to do your podcast every week? Christ.
No, but the internet exists.
So,
What do you
all right.
do? Text me. Hey,
Hey, text me the shit you Googled.
Google the answer to this and text me back.
So
All
it's
right,
just like
so-
double
Hold
Googling.
on, babe. Larry
so-
and Chris are texting me again.
Oh, I got to Andy read this.
Putting the cap
Andy Reid
on
knows
second, putting the cap on second wave emo, and going into the third wave, which is mid 2000s ish,
I'm gonna say
early
yeah,
to
like
mid 2000s.
2000.
2 words.
Well, hold on.
Full collapse.
That was the
Yep.
2 words I was going to say. Well, what year did Full Collapse come out? Because that is.
02, November 02.
I thought it was 01.
Oh, November 01. My bad.
Motherfucker, you okay? Full Collapse.
Because by January 02, I
is
was listening
the
to it.
definition of what third wave emo
really is. Yeah. And they drive more. I think they take way more influence from the first wave than any of the second wave bands.
True, because they were the first third wave emo band.
They had that more cathartic Rites of Spring sound with the screaming and the singing.
And it's not even Thursday's first record.
What?
It's not even Thursday's
it's
first
not their first
But
record.
also, I don't give a fuck what anyone says about this. Thursday's first record, Waiting, sucks ass.
Yeah, it's not. I never was a fan. I liked their cover of Love Will Tear Us Apart, which was kind of in a lot of ways my introduction to Joy Division, who over time has become one of my favorite bands of all time, but who are also very emo too.
Like the '80s new wave bummer thing, like that's not emo. That's why we didn't talk about Joy Division.
Yeah, that's
or
cool.
the
That's
Smiths,
cool.
but-
No. I get it. It's really.
I did think
as
about,
much
like-
of an influence as they might have had on some of these artists.
And I was
they're
trying
not
to
really
think
part
about,
of the
hey, how
scene.
can I bring this in? But I'm like, no, I
Post-punk
can't.
for
It's not
sure.
emo, so it didn't count.
No, I agree. It definitely had its fingers in the pie.
Sure.
But not enough to make it part of the sound.
Sure.
So this third wave,
Do you know what kind of stuff made Full Collapse to like what it is? Besides like the early Rites of Spring kind of stuff, but like stuff that just came out like a year or two prior to that was like a lot of like the clean, sad bridges to like Poison the Well songs.
And Glassjaw.
I was just going to say Glassjaw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Finch. I think that they kind of had that. They were like their first step towards the mall emo, if you want to call it mall
Finch
emo.
got signed to Drive Through Records in 2002, I want
I
to say.
loved that first Finch record. But we had a demo of it before it came out, and the demo versions were so much doper.
Was it like a Hot Topic?
No, they have Drive
It
Through.
was just like something like
Drive Through would put out a full length for a band, but right before like maybe a year or so before that, they would put out like a 5-song EP of each band.
Oh yeah, because that was the time of little
like-
CDs that were in the little cardboard
Yeah,
books.
So like
and
Finch,
all the labels would
Finch
hand
put
them out.
out an EP right before they put out What It Is to Burn. I forget what the EP is called.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about.
And it had a couple demo versions of the songs
Yeah.
off of What It Is to Burn and a couple other songs, and they were great. The demos
yeah.
were great. But yeah, Drive Through was really big about that.
But
It
they
was
were
cool.
like the first ones to really have that like pop emo sound.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was you listen to a Finch song and you could be like, oh, this could be a Backstreet Boys song if they really wanted it to be. Just the progressions,
Sure.
the vocal arrangements and stuff like that. I mean, they're very pop.
Finch had a song called Gray Matter, like the.
Yes, they did, and it's an
That's why
awesome
I'm like,
fucking
hey,
song.
this is going to come up later
Yes,
on.
yes.
And it features Daryl Plummer from
Derek
Glassjaw.
Plum- yes, an excellent song. Probably my favorite song on the record. Probably my favorite song on the record.
Untitled.
Is which one's that?
Okay,
That
one.
That was awesome too. It's
Every-
heavy as shit.
Every song on that album sounds the fucking same.
Pretty much.
Finch's second record sucks ass.
Say Hello to Sunshine.
They had that song on. I don't think it was on either of those albums. I think it was just a B-side, but it was on an Atticus comp. Mm-hmm. Worms of the Earth.
Oh yeah.
It starts with just that boom.
That song is awesome.
It's fucking sounds like Glassjaw. It's just heavy.
Yeah, that
intense.
song was the shit.
And when they put
then-
that out, I'm like, this is what Finch is gonna do. This is gonna be
Yeah,
sick.
and it
then
wasn't.
this record, I'm like, oh, fuck.
They went a lot more indie.
Then it sounded like
it-
Seether.
It sounded.
later on.
It
was
reminded me.
lame.
It just reminded me of like maybe they got happy. This is
that, that's
they got,
lame.
right.
Happiness is lame.
Oh well, come on, man.
We're talking about emo.
Yeah.
Happiness
But
is
like
lame.
we said, emo doesn't necessarily have to be sad, and that's one of the common misnomers.
That's super true.
It just has to be. It just has to be from the heart.
So-
and it has to be hard on sleeve type stuff. It doesn't have to be sad.
Another big early on third wave emo album is Stay What You Are by Saves the Day.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Huge. Which is my favorite Saves the Day record. One of my favorite records of all time. From Here to Infirmary by
I
Alkaline
was
Trio.
just gonna say From Here to Infirmary.
Third favorite album ever made is From
Definitely
Here to
my
Infirmary.
favorite Alkaline Trio record.
If that was the only thing they ever did, I would still love them to death.
Mr. Chainsaw, so fucking good.
Every song.
Tell all your friends. Taking Back
No,
Sunday.
now
We're
I
not-
gotta say,
we are getting
Taking
to
Back
that. That
Sunday
is the biggest-
is the topic of its own.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I'll hold back.
Oh,
Band
but-
that I first that
hold
I
on,
think
Ray.
actually brought a hard rock sound to emo. Not necessarily. I mean, they had their pop punk moments. There's little bits of the original emo in their sound.
There's shit tons of
but
bits
they
of that
had,
emo in there.
But they had that. They had that Finchy poppiness that we talked about. But there was something almost hard rock, fun. Not I wouldn't say Bon Jovi, but something of that.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. That's not what it's hard to explain.
No, he said he wasn't going to say Bon Jovi.
Yeah, but definitely like this pop hard rock vibe, but with an emo glaze.
Okay.
And but you know what?
Sounds
Like of
delicious.
Tears?
Did you know there's only one original member left in that band.
Is it Adam Lazzara?
No, he's not even the original member. He was never an original member.
Is it John Nolan?
Yes, John Nolan is the only one left. And
Don't they
Not
suck
even
now?
the fat guy who played bass or whatever? No,
the
the
two-
other guitar player, Eddie, maybe? I don't know. I'm not friends with him.
yeah, the two original members, Eddie, Jesse Lacey, founders of that band. Then they brought in, I think his last name is like Nance or Cance, something like that.
Nance
He
the
moved-
rapper.
He moved. He moved. He started playing guitar, moving Jesse Lacey to bass. John Nolan fucked around with Jesse Lacey's lady, and Jesse Lacey quit the band and started brand new.
Oh, so there's the diss
And that's
tracks.
where it all happened.
John Nolan was the original singer, and then they brought Adam Lazzara in later. Jesse Lacey was already out of already out of Taking Back Sunday when Adam Lazzara joined. Because remember, like that was a big thing, was the feud.
Oh, yeah, huge.
And like there were songs on Your Favorite Weapon and songs on Tell All Your Friends that were kind of
They're
jabbing
diss
each
tracks.
other.
Yep.
They were kind of emo diss tracks, for
Yep.
sure.
Which is super tight and doesn't have. Let's start a
I thought
fucking
it was-
thing
I
with
know.
a band.
Cool.
We
Like,
need to
hey,
have a
any
feud.
band from around here, fuck you. Let's start shit and write
I
songs
was,
about each
I
other.
was I was a brand new guy. I liked Your Favorite
I
Weapon.
was a brand new guy.
Yeah.
No, I've always liked Taking Back Sunday better.
Yeah, see, I thought that they were too glossy, and I thought that Brand New were like they were like just under that gloss with just a little more grit, just
Sure.
a little more grit.
And over time, Taking Back Sunday started to suck.
No doubt about
I
that.
I don't
can't
think
say
it was
suck.
even like
I
that
love
much
Tell All-
time.
I love Tell All Your Friends, but it took me a long time to love it.
The album after that, I was gonna say You
Be
Come
Here
Before
Now?
You. That's
Poison
Poison Well
Well.
record,
Poison
which is
Well.
their best album.
The one with the naked baby on the cover.
Yes,
Where You Want to Be.
Where You Want to Be.
Where You Want to Be, yes.
Love that album. Louder Now after that, good album.
Louder Now was definitely their break. That was their like breakout record. Am I wrong?
No,
Like,
Tell All Your
that
Friends
the
was their breakout record.
No,
They
that was
released
that
Tell All
was
Your
their
Friends and then they got
debut.
massively
Debut.
huge right after that.
Well, like mainstream wise,
Mainstream wise, yeah.
what was the song that like really launched them? Was
Q without the E.
well
That
in
launched
our
them- that launched
circles,
them in
yes.
our
Okay, and
circles,
then
yeah.
outside of our circle,
But, like-
A Decade Under the Influence,
Like
which
Q101?
was on Where You Want to Be.
Q101. I want to say the first radio single I remember from
Make damn sure
yes, which I'm trying to find what album
that's
was off of.
on Louder Now.
Is it?
Oh,
And Louder Now was definitely their break into the mainstream record.
But Louder Now was their last good record.
But they spawned a scene that I really didn't want to be part of anymore. Like
The
the
swoop hair.
the swoop hair, mall emo,
They did really
cut
skinny
myself. Well, I mean, these jeans I'm wearing are ridiculous.
I was gonna say, like, dude, homie, wearing
No, I shouldn't say skinny.
spandex.
I shouldn't say skinny
I wear
jeans.
my girls' jeans. Dog.
It
What do
was.
you
I
want?
was gonna say it wasn't skinny jeans. The Taking Back Sunday thing was girl jeans. It was dudes straight up wearing girls' pants.
And
Yeah, with like
white
with
belts.
white belts.
Yep.
To the side. I did that shit.
Two belts. There was
in
one
the
through
same-
the loops and one just hanging
in
down
the
on the
same
hips.
way
Michael Dean.
that old hip hop heads talk shit about the young guys the young rappers not giving credit to the old school and giving credit, to the.
Yeah.
I feel like this scene, these group of fans who got all swoopy haired and stuff, they didn't know who the fuck Rites of Spring were.
Oh, and they still don't to this
They
day.
still don't to this day. Right.
3/5 of this band that I'm in don't know who Rites of Spring is.
That's true.
You're right.
That's
You're
true.
right, You're right.
I can go as late in the emo timeline as 2000. No one in my band knows who they are. The guys in my band are all 30. They should know who these bands are. Fuck you guys. I'm sorry.
Hey, when you grow up in Kokomo, it's hard to know what good bands are.
None of us are from Kokomo.
I thought Andrew was from Kokomo.
Morocco.
Andrew
Morocco.
grew up in Dyer.
He
okay,
lives in
okay.
Morocco
He lives
now.
in Morocco
Oh.
now.
Oh, but he's from Kokomo. So he's from both of the...
No, he was never
he's
from
never been to Kokomo.
He's from Morocco.
Andrew's
I
from
get
Dyer.
these Indiana island place names. They sound like tropical islands. I get them mixed up. What do you
Because
want?
Kokomo is a tropical island.
Well, Kokomo doesn't exist. It's not a real
It does
tropical
now.
island.
it's a
it
dope
does now.
song.
Oh, it doesn't?
Yes.
The
So
Beach Boys
after the
bought it
Beach
and
Boys,
had it?
after the Beach Boys made the song Kokomo, I think like Sandals or something bought an island and called it Kokomo.
okay.
So it's
So they just
totally
made it up?
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that shit.
Aruba, Jamaica.
Hashtag Andy Reid knows best.
So this third wave of emo was probably the most mainstream.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, my God.
and it's-
yes.
Definitely.
and
it was big enough to launch it and kill it.
And it's also when some of the second wave emo bands, such as Jimmy Eat World, Dashboard Confessional.
Started getting popular.
How have we not mentioned Dashboard Confessional
We
yet?
very briefly
because we're talking about good music.
Oh, come on.
Tell me that the places you have come to fear the most and Swiss Army Romance aren't perfect records.
Dude,
Fuck you with your beanie.
I do think that there's some catchy songs on there. But it's too for me. It's just too. I mean, it's music for girlfriends whose boyfriends like hardcore.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
Screaming Infidelities.
It's awesome. I mean, it's fun.
Perfect song.
But
it's a perfect
fun.
song.
But
there's way better songs.
I know, but that's what everybody that's listening would know.
Side note: have you ever heard the split Dashboard did with NFG, where NFG covers 2 Dashboard songs?
For sure,
dude. Those covers, like they cover Saints and Sailors.
I haven't heard it.
They cover Saints and Sailors and Swiss Army Romance, and they're fucking so good.
That sounds good.
What about Further Seems Forever covering "Say It Ain't So" by Weezer on the rock music?
Further Seems Forever did a couple covers.
How about Weezer releasing an entire album of covers?
Dude, Weezer's covers just sounds like
the original.
A compilation of the originals, and it's fucking lame.
It is lame.
I saw it.
I haven't even listened to it.
It's not good.
If you want to hear their cover of the Tears for Fears song, just listen to Tears for Fears song. Of course. It's the same fucking song.
Of course. All right.
I know it's a cover.
Back to
Weezer.
Song, sorry.
Back to
their influence just can't be denied.
Third wave.
Third
also,
wave. Okay, so Taking Back Sunday and Thursday were like early third wave. Hey, this is going to be a huge fucking thing.
But Taking Back Sunday and Thursday sound very different.
In some regards, yes. In some regards, not really.
There's nothing really poppy about Full Collapse.
There's lots of poppy parts in Full Collapse,
but not in that. Not in that like happy sappy way that
no, they're not happy. You can be happy or sad and catchy.
But there's catchy parts, but I mean they're two very different branches of emo.
That's true. But I'm just saying at this time frame when emo was a thing, those
two
bands,
for sure.
Thrice, Artist in the Ambulance.
Yeah, totally.
That was also a big
actually Artist in the Ambulance had a very bridging effect between like the Full Collapse sound. And the Tell All Your Friends kind
of
thing.
This discussion where we're at right now, this is very, very at the very beginning.
Jesus Christ.
Easy for you to say. At the very beginning of this episode, when I said it's like a very broad term, this is exactly where I'm talking about, because now we're talking about Thursday. We're talking about Taking Back Sunday. We're talking about Dashboard Confessional. We're talking about Jimmy Eat World, Brand New. All these bands, they all fit under the same genre,
umbrella,
but they all have very different sounds.
Right.
And emo's one of the only things that you can do that. Because if you talk about like pop punk, you can talk about like Newfound Glory or The Story So Far or like any other pop punk band. You're like, oh yeah, all those bands sound the fucking same.
Yes.
Because they do.
Except some have good singers and some don't. That's my biggest
problem.
They
all have the same singer. Or a guy goes,
like, there's so much pop punk out there who I love musically, but can't stand their vocals, so I don't listen to them. Who's an example of that? Oh, geez. There's too many that I get in The Story So Far.
Dude, the singer from The Story So Far fucking rips. He's so good.
I don't know. I feel like they all just imitate Jordan Pudnick, and
he sounds nothing like Jordan Pudnick.
I know. I'm just talking about in general.
Okay, sure. Well, that's because the Newfound Glory is the definitive pop punk band.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There's no way around it.
Well, I don't. Or is Green Day the definitive pop punk?
No, the Newfound Glory sounds
because they were definitely called pop punk when they came out.
Sure, but pop punk as a phrase, hyphenated word, didn't exist yet.
Yeah, you're right.
So when it boils down, and you can shit on this all you want, Green Day is just a punk rock band.
I agree. That's a whole nother episode too.
Yep.
That fucking Gilman Street era, that late '80s.
The only Gilman Street thing that mattered was fucking Green Day,
or Rancid, or Operation Ivy, or the Queers, or
I don't like any of that. I like some Rancid.
Dude, I love all that. Like,
I'm not cool.
We're going to San Francisco in September, and I plan on trying to make a stop just to get a picture of Gilman because I've
seen Rancid a couple times
so much.
There's a couple of Rancid albums that I like front to back. That's it.
This is super emo. All this.
Yeah.
Rancid had sad songs.
Kinda. Yeah.
So back to third wave emo.
Storyteller.
Under Oath.
Under Oath. I was gonna say so.
Under Oath is a tricky one.
How? Chasing Safety is the definitive third wave emo album.
It's like their only emo album.
Changing of the times.
So
kind of. It's that. Yeah.
It sounded like just a shittier recorded version of Chasing Safety.
Now the crazy thing about Chasing Safety is, as much as I like that record, there's really only 2 songs on that record I really love. And when they got into their next record, Define the Great Line, the Adam, what's his name from Killswitch was the producer.
Adam D.
Adam.
I want to make a
Derwitz,
record with Adam D so bad.
He produced that record, and the reason they went so much like heavier and had that like dirgy post metal type sound.
That's his sound.
Is because he told them, he said, "Look, you guys are on your way to becoming just another Taking Back Sunday type band. You guys are on your way to becoming another pop punk emo type band. I think you guys have the potential to be a rip roaring fucking emo metal band." And that's how Define the Great Line was born, which is my favorite Under Oath record, and that was my favorite record of 2006. I think was Define the Great Line, and I wasn't even
that was tough. That was such a good year. For
I wasn't even super into Under Oath. I only
Sure.
kind of liked Chasing Safety, and Define the Great Line made me like Chasing Safety a lot more. But then after that, I never got back in. After Define the Great Line, I just
Do you
couldn't
know
get in
who was a
Under Oath
commercially massive third wave cookie cutter?
I think I know who you're going to
band?
talk about, and I was going to bring them up.
Story of the year.
Oh, that's not who I was going to
Who
say.
were you going to go?
I was going to say My Chemical Romance.
But that's a completely.
Dude, it's so
other
hard.
thing.
They are so not emo. I'll give them punk.
So they
I'll
are
give them
not
pop
emo.
punk,
I'll
give
pull them
hard
quotation
rock
fingers,
punk.
but they are what everyone today knows as emo.
They are. You're
So
right.
they are emo.
You know,
Yes.
in a way, it has its moments, but they were so much bigger than the genre, and
They were so much
and by the
bigger
time-
than most.
By the
bands.
time Black Parade came out, they were introducing like Queen elements.
I was going to
Black
say,
Parade
if you,
sounds like a Queen album.
if
Yeah,
you go
definitely,
back,
definitely.
if you
It's
go
got a lot of
back
hard
to,
rock.
if you go back to their very first origins, they got their start in emo, but
I
then
kinda thought
they
more like
branched.
they were like more of a punk band.
They branched into.
You brought me you brought me your bullets. I brought you my love, or whatever
Something like
that record.
that. I brought you some makeup, and we went to Hot Topic.
that they branched into what everybody now knows as emo, which is
Yes.
that the Hot Topic, guy liner, black
Yeah, and
hair.
the whole I'm not okay.
Yeah.
Like I cut myself probably. I'm super sad
The-
all the time, and all my fans
where
are
you
super
get
sad.
your Hawthorne Heights, your
Ohio is the lovers.
Silversteins, your Census
Fucking
Fails.
rules.
See,
Census Fail fucking rules.
I could
But they're all under that umbrella
Yes,
of
because when My Chemical
screamo.
Romance became an emo band, emo died.
Well, I think we've talked a lot about drive-through records and like their influence on third wave. There's a record label we need to mention called Equal Vision.
Chiodos, Fall of Troy.
Gross. Gross. That's all when I started being like, emo sucks now.
No, but you think like early Equal Vision,
Coheed and
like
Cambria.
Coheed. Who else was there? Early Equal Vision, there was some good shit there.
Fucking Converge released Jane Doe on Equal Vision.
Converge is emo.
No, not at all. But tons of band. I mean, they were definitely Bear vs. Shark.
I love Bear vs. Shark.
Fuck yeah, yeah. That first record
Love
is
that
so
song.
good and very emo adjacent.
Sure.
Alexis on Fire.
Yep, there you go.
Emo.
Young Cardinals is the only record I like by them, and
see.
Young
Crisis.
Cardinals the song is my favorite song by them.
That's enough of that. Yeah. That new Alexis on Fire, by the way, not great.
I haven't heard it yet.
Yep.
Bummed.
You know they
That
played
is a
in
bummer.
Burns Harbor back in the day.
I remember going to a show in Burns Harbor, seeing
Hawthorne Heights.
Under Oath, Dead Poetic, The Phoenix Rising.
No, Under Oath wasn't at that show, but Dead Poetic and Phoenix Rising were.
Then
definitely
it was two separate shows in Burns
there. I don't know
Harbor.
if Under Oath ever played Burns Harbor.
They fucking did.
I'm
They
trying to
for
remember
sure
who I
did.
saw at Burns Harbor.
kind of wish there was a way for me to prove you wrong, but there wasn't.
Andy Reid knows best. Under Oath was never
I
in
just went
Burns
to all.
Harbor.
I just went to all the Burns Harbor shows. But yeah, Dead Poetic definitely played there. I made flyers for it and Hawthorne Heights. And, I hated them.
Dude, there's a couple of Hawthorne Heights songs that are fucking great. I don't give a fuck, dude.
That hit is so gross.
Ohio is for lovers, right?
Eyes. It was all those bands.
I
I was
can't
like,
pretend to dislike that.
I was
song.
only, I was around, 24, 25, 26.
God, I was like 9.
And I felt that they were all trying. I
was like 16.
I'll be 39 this year. They were all just so try-hardy to me.
For fucking sure, but
Yeah.
they made $1 million
But
bucks.
I don't give a fuck.
I do.
Dude, they didn't have any integrity. You know what I mean?
So integrity rules. Not
Where's
integrity
Michael
as
London when we need him?
not the integrity as the concept, because I don't have it. But the band is sick.
I think you didn't. But yeah, and like I was saying before we started recording, I'm not. This is where like a lot of band names, I might recognize the names, but I'm not going to know what they sound like.
The Used was huge.
Hate them. Hate them. I swear to God, the Used were put together in a They were not a band before some guy said, you, and you, make an album.
Yeah, if it happened, it was John Feldman, and John Feldman rules.
They were the boy band of emo.
No, that was Story of the Year.
But Story of the Year came after Used.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
Same time.
Jesus Christ, Larry, they did. If it wasn't for the Used, we wouldn't have Story of the Year.
I think both of their albums came out in 2002, and Story of the Year was a new metal band called Big Blue Monkey before there was Story of the Year.
There could have been which again proves my point on how try-hard he is. Hey, new metal ain't cool no more. Let's be an emo band.
Poison the Well, Norma Jean. Both used to be new metal bands.
But they went on to be more like a hardcore band without as much. They didn't start singing till later. They were doing it was all screamed vocals.
Poison the Well.
First two Poison the Well records all screamed. The first three.
Botula.
That's it.
Still singing.
That's it.
But
and he only sings
singing
at the beginning. And then the rest is all screamed. And then the one acoustic-y song in the middle of the album there. But,
singing.
Yeah, but it wasn't. But it's less of a stretch for a new metal band to turn into a band like Poison the Well than it is for a new metal band to turn into a band like Story of the Year. I think that the new metal sound and a hardcore sound are more closely related than a new metal sound and the third wave emo sound. But you know what? I did the same thing. I was super into new metal 98, 97,
Story of the Year really didn't have
2000.
a full-on third wave emo sound.
No, they didn't.
They had a lot of hardcore elements to them.
Yeah, we used to. I had my friend
band.
Justin Nolan. We used to call all those bands. We used to call them Nolancore because he loved all those bands.
Why do I know the name Justin Nolan? Who is that?
I talked about him on the first podcast.
No, but do I know him?
T-Pig. You might know him. I don't think so though.
Who is he?
He was like the. He was like.
Was he in a band?
No.
Okay.
No, love bands. I mean, he was always at shows, always tattooed the fuck up. Big movie life, huge movie life fan.
Oh my god, I fucking love the movie life.
Me too. I didn't like 40 Hour Train Back to Penn very much. I love Has a Gambling Problem.
I love 40 Hour Train Back to Penn.
But yes,
that sounds what
I can't talk about Story of the Year. I can't because I thought they fucking. They
okay. So when you get away from like the heavier third wave emo, because there was heavier third wave emo, which was people called screamo, which we haven't really touched a lot on,
and we don't need to.
Yeah,
we won't.
Well, we could get in. I mean, there's like Page 99 and Orchid and all those bands. If you want to go look, start with Page 99.
Start with
go
Orchid.
from there, or Orchid, yeah.
Or if you're not feeling too crazy, start with Funeral Diner.
That's your screamo stuff. Or what's that? Another band they just put out a new record last year. Guilt. No, I can't remember.
No idea.
But yeah, another screamo band.
But when there's like poppier third wave emo, there's heavier third wave emo.
Yeah,
a lot of poppier, chiller, like indie-ish third wave emo. Like
I like a lot of
the early
stuff.
November.
Oh, see, I never got into them.
Oh my god,
I never got. See, like I said, I was, the emo explosion for me was 2001. 2, 3, 4, a little bit of 5, and then after that,
that was premium era for
November.
And then
after that, but I didn't get into everything. Okay. But that's when those bands were putting out their first records, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, they were putting out their second and third records. Sure. I was completely checked out for a long time from the emo sound because I didn't like My Chemical Romance's third record. It took me years to appreciate Black Parade. Years.
I still don't.
And I still don't. Yeah, I still only 85, 75% appreciate it.
Other than My Chem, the other bands like most normies call emo
Fall Out Boy,
Panic.
The
only times I want to mention Fall Out Boy or Panic in this is saying Fall Out Boy is not emo. Nope. Panic at the Disco is not emo. Move on.
I'm cool with that.
Both bands are.
I was gonna say
good.
Fall Out Boy had 2 good records.
Fall Out Boy had a couple good records.
Yeah, 2.
3 or 4.
2 is a couple.
Everything up to From Under the Cork Tree. After that,
the album after that had a couple good songs.
See ya.
From Under the Cork Tree is Fall Out Boy's best album.
Oh, no doubt.
No one really agrees with me. Can't believe you do.
No, it's their most fully recognized record.
I like
Getting
to
Take You to Your Grave is a great record. Even Not With Your Girlfriend is a great record.
Yeah,
this is the exact. I like the one record. Larry likes it.
I always
like 2
love a
years
band's second album. Chris always loves their first album better. It's because there's a 2-year difference between it.
That's why. And then there's probably like a 3. How old are you?
I'm 33.
33. Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm 39 this year. So that's where a lot of our differences happen too. Because
when we and Chris were going to like the Metro when Andy Reid was our age, he was going to fucking Studio 54 and doing blow.
Jesus Christ. No, dude. No. I couldn't help it. I had a guy that lived down. There was a dude who lived down the street from me who was a few years older than I was, and he's
probably dead now.
No, he's not. But
if he was, I would have felt so bad.
He's about 46 years old, but
dead.
He was always cranking from his house. He was always cranking Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Dinosaur Jr., and I would hear it come
Dinosaur Jr. fucking rules, dude.
He would Eric from Franklin House looks just like Jay Mascis.
Oh my God!
So the first thing I ever said to him when I first met him, first thing I said was, "Anyone ever tell you?"
Inherently, Jay Mascis looks like a witch.
Yes, and he's because
Eric looks like a witch. Oh wow, Eric just looks like a witch.
Yeah, because that's what happened when you're 31 and you're covered in gray hairs.
Dye
your shit, bro.
Did he cut his hair?
Who's the guy from Lord of the Rings who has the Cher hair that's long as fuck? Like down the middle.
Well, it was Christopher Lee, but
the other guy, the bad one.
Yeah, Saruman.
Saruman. If Saruman put like black ass streaks in his hair, Eric.
I think Eric is he's a Wizard of Valpo. Yeah.
Yeah. But Eric cut his hair.
He did cut his hair.
Oh yes, now Eric just sucks.
Oh, you guys are probably still salty from him not showing up to the Get by Josh's last show here.
I'm salty about Eric for lots of things. I'm just kidding. Eric's like one of my favorite people in the world.
He's the best.
I wouldn't say that he's the best, but he's good.
He's alright. He's alright.
He ain't gonna listen to this. Fuck him.
He won't listen
Us
to this.
Porter County guys will stick together. These fucking Lowell, Crown Point boys can keep it.
Don't live in either of those towns.
He lives in Lowell. Where do you live? You live in Crown Point, I thought.
Your mama house.
Motherfucker,
Oh! I live in St. John.
Oh, St. John.
It's like the worst of all of these. I fucking hate it there.
Are we good with third wave?
I feel like we're
there's
not.
something we haven't covered.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about the transition between your favorite weapon and
Let's talk more about Brand New.
the next record after that.
I have
Deja
nothing to say
Entendu.
about Brand New.
Deja is my second favorite Brand New album.
It's my favorite. Yeah.
Devil and God is my favorite Brand New album.
Yeah. Love it.
Anything post Devil and God, I don't fucking like.
You didn't like the last. I think we talked about this.
Science Fiction don't like. Daisy don't like.
Okay. I loved science fiction for like 2 weeks.
I remember.
And then all the stuff came out, and I was just like, I can't.
And just do.
And I'm an artist. I'm a separate the art from the artist kind of guy.
I like to.
I have to be because Champion is my favorite band. So.
Oh, what did they do?
Same thing as everyone else.
The singer of
touchy,
Champion was a
touchy,
scumbag.
just
I don't know. I don't know
scumbaggy.
if there was ever touchy, but there was a lot of like messaging on the internet, like "Hey, send me naked pictures," kind of stuff. So.
Which I mean, yeah, cool. People do that, but not with a fucking child.
Yeah.
Cool thing. Not a cool thing because it's a shitty thing that happened. Steve Klein from Newfound Glory, same situation.
Right.
They just kicked him the fuck out.
Yep. They
Like,
kept him the fuck out
hey,
and kept
before this
going.
comes a thing, we're still gonna be a band, but you're not fucking in it.
Right.
Sick. That's why I.
And he was like, that was a long time ago now.
That was
And
like
it
one of
didn't-
the first cases of
and
it.
it didn't get the media notoriety that a lot of the cases are
Because
getting now.
they did the right thing.
And
They're
really,
like, hey,
social
you-
media wasn't popping off quite
Like,
yet.
dude, get out of here. You're not in this fucking band anymore.
Yeah.
Oops. And that's why they're still on top of the world.
Yeah. No, they rule. I haven't been a big fan of their music since the self-titled or Sticks and Stones, maybe. But I haven't been a big fan. But I still love them and will go see them.
There's got to be a couple of albums
home.
that you haven't listened to since then.
I've listened to them.
Coming home.
I've listened. Before the last time I went and saw them, I went and refamiliarized myself, and I just couldn't get into it.
The next
it's
time
not
you have
that
a
I didn't
chance,
like it. It's just that I've moved.
Listen
past
to
it.
Resurrection the next time you have a chance. It's fucking heavy.
I probably won't.
I feel that because Andy Reid knows best. So you know what? I don't like that album anymore either.
I probably won't.
I probably won't.
I probably won't.
I'm just keeping it real with you, bro.
I'm gonna listen to Biggie and Shop for Shoes online.
That's one of my favorite things.
You
to
eat
do.
meat? Fuck you. That's wrong.
No, I'm not gonna say fuck you, but I will have a beautifully polite conversation with you about it. But
Andy Reid's a vegan.
well, hi guys. Almost a year now. Haven't touched meat or dairy.
That's good for you, man. Good for you.
Been pretty fun. Lost
I could
8
I had
pounds.
a turkey club for lunch.
Yo, I actually feel bad because I had the sandwich from Arby's yesterday that had
Shit, yeah.
5 different meats on it.
It was probably
they said
$25.
They said that it was
Shit,
5
you-
different meats.
You want to yell louder?
They said it was 5 different meats. But it was
Sorry.
really just 5 different things called
Processed
meat.
Oh yeah, 5 different delicious things called.
Yeah, just weird flesh-based compounds.
Flesh based. Oh no, we got the fucking monopoly on the word based. Thank you.
Well, we got the meats
Plant-based.
too.
Well, Arby's. We got the diseases from your body.
Fuck with
So
it, dude. Arby's is tight.
I don't know how you guys feel about this. One of the articles I was reading through red jumpsuit apparatus and plain white tees in the emo umbrella.
I would say
I'd
that
rather
Red Jumpsuit is going to be like that
They were
commercial
mall.
bullshit
Yeah.
store of the year emo.
I'd rather eat wasps than listen to a minute of their music.
That's what,
so I don't know.
I don't personally feel like they fit into it.
Oh yeah, dude.
They had
You
a
think
hard
so?
rocky vibe too. I
sure,
think.
but they had
like
that-
they could have been. Remember that hoodie we both posted that picture of with all
one?
the shitty.
Oh
band hoodies?
yeah.
Yeah, like
The hoodie that
Red
Rise
Jumpsuit-
Against doesn't belong on?
Red,
they do.
yeah. There's a reason they're on
do.
there. Red Jumpsuit Apparatus could have been on that label.
I'd be
on that
surprised
list
if they
too.
weren't.
Yeah,
They
right.
should have been on that.
I feel like they probably
And
had to be.
I don't like. Now I don't like songs that are like explicitly about like things like that song is like so explicitly about getting beat by your boyfriend. You know,
'cause it's
they're
a
big
whack-ass
hits.
thing to deal
They're
with.
big. No doubt.
Is that
no
face,
doubt.
No,
face
that's
down?
not emo. No, that was
Is that song called Face Down?
Blackstreet was emo.
I hate. I don't like it. It's so like. It's just. There's
That
nothing,
song's called Face Down. By
It's
the way.
very.
It is-
It's
okay,
very
that's not
explicit. It was. There was.
Dude, like
there
it's
was nothing.
verbatim. Like, hey, baby, come be with me. I ain't gonna be.
Yeah, it's very male feminist meets like virtue signaling, and it's just like it's
Dead on. And also, one of the big points of that song is like, hey, baby, we got the same hair.
Yeah. Like those singers were all so pretty.
All that motherfuckers.
The drummer from Under Oath. The drummer
Beautiful hair.
Good.
Luscious hair.
I always thought like the prettiest dude in the emo genre was probably Chris Carrabba.
Yeah,
Brendan Urie.
Brendan Urie. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Brendan Urie.
But you know what?
Is
I think
Brendan
Brendan
Urie-
Urie. I think he was just
he's
just an entertainer who fell into a band that called emo.
I was gonna
don't
say,
think
is
he's
Brendan Urie emo?
No,
No,
he's Broadway. If you ask me, he's
Broadway.
big. He's drama.
The only point I'm making today, he is good looking.
If, no doubt about it.
my niece
he's
is
got
listening-
pipes and he's got a face.
If my niece is listening to this right now, she is absolutely furious that we just said Brendan Urie is not emo. I guarantee.
How old is she?
How old is she?
She's 16.
You're not emo
Hey,
either, girl.
Sorry, hey, take it from a 40-year-old who's been around the block a few times
She's-
on music. He's not emo.
She's the one that I think you guys both commented
Oh,
on.
yeah, you're
her.
right. Nicholas Andy's like, hey, this. And I was like, oh, here we go. He's like, no, I agree. And I'm sitting there like, you do?
I posted something about emo.
Yeah.
She commented and said, I feel attacked. And then I said,
Why? You're not emo.
You're not emo. And then you guys both chimed in and said, yeah, no, you're not emo.
Well, you tagged me and like, hey, well, this is the thing. And dude, yeah, but then I looked at that. I'm like, this is a kid. We're the worst.
No, she can handle it. She
The
can handle it. All right, so here we are at
Your house.
Okay, I think we're getting to the point where a lot of people think emo went away.
No,
It
It
kind
did,
of
'cause
it
it got-
went away from the mainstream. It became kind of a joke.
Yes.
The word emo was bandied about ironically.
There wasn't-
and there wasn't any more big hits coming out. All those bands were still making records, and in our world, of fandom,
Yes.
we still bought those records. We still liked those albums. But,
No.
well, but we still torrented those records.
No,
we
I
still
just
went
knew
and
those
saw
bands
shows.
existed. I didn't listen to them. I listened to their old records.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah. Like I didn't necessarily listen to every Taking Back Sunday album that came out throughout the 2000s.
Nope,
but
just the first
I
couple.
listened to every Coheed record that came out throughout the 2000s.
I only like one Coheed album.
Well, I'm just trying to make a bigger point.
No, not that one. The one before that.
whatever, man, that song
The
rules.
first, second stage, Turn by Blade.
No.
And Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3. Yes, excellent record.
It's like the guy who has a Coheed tattoo doesn't know their album.
I know them motherfucking albums. I know them motherfucking albums. I know the Good
All
right,
Apollo
so-
Eye and Burning Star
so-
4 is definitely their best record. But
Emo goes underground.
a little bit, and there's a brewing of bands that are starting to, in like 2010 we start seeing what is called now as emo revival.
Right.
Yes.
And and it wasn't a revival of the My Chem Taking Back
No.
Sunday
No,
sound.
it was a
revival
inspired
of that
second wave
Cap'n
emo.
Jazz second wave emo sound.
And I feel like
Which-
Title Fight released their first album.
yeah,
was-
excellent, awesome. Or
It was
excellent
what album
record.
is that? It's got Symmetry and shit on it.
Floral Green.
No, that's like the
Oh,
third album.
before, that's their second, I thought, but
No,
before
Shed is
that-
their second album.
Okay.
Their first album is called something. And it was just a hardcore pop punk record. And then they got a little older. They slowed down. They got a little more artsy and weird. The kids who were starting these pop punk bands who were into the first Title Fight album heard their second album, like, let's get artsy and weird too. And then they go back in time, they discover all these other bands, and then Emo Revival started.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that.
Title Fight slowing
Title
down
Fight,
is what
yeah.
started Emo Revival.
Well, and now Title Fight is Title Fight is
Title
like,
Fight is
they're
dead, but
like-
the last Title Fight album sounded like fucking My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah, Hyperview.
And these
Yeah.
dipshits in khaki shorts were still stage diving to it.
Yeah. I'm a Title Fight fan. I'm also
I fucking love Title Fight.
My Bloody
But,
Valentine fan. I like shoegaze, which is also very emo adjacent in a lot of ways. I believe that
sure.
a lot of second and third wave emo bands were definitely influenced by the slowcore sounds of shoegaze.
Definitely.
So,
But yeah, Title Fight slowing down, and a lot of the Run for Cover kind of records
sure.
like Tiger's Jaw,
Dads.
I love Tiger's
Early
Jaw.
Citizen, all that stuff. Like the bands who it was kind of a similar thing, like the big pop punk revival of like 2002, like when the early drive-thru stuff, Starting Line, all turned into like third wave emo. The pop punk revival of like The Story So Far, Fireworks, Man Overboard, that kind of shit, all kind of turned into emo revival again. So it just the pop punk revival turning into the emo revival happened twice, 10 years apart.
I just think, like I said, they really borrowed more from that early '90s cabin jazz type sound.
Sure.
And, you know, just while it's on my brain, are we going to talk anything about At the Drive-In? Because I think
we talked about Thursday, so I don't think we have to.
Well, I think At the Drive-In really perfected the mix of a punky sound with that cap and jazz.
I agree
style.
with that completely.
And I think if it wasn't for At the Drive-In, I might not have got into Thursday.
Nobody would have, because Captain Drive-In existed before Thursday, and they were just like the direct predecessor to Thursday.
Yeah.
I just like Thursday better.
I think it was. Yeah. No, I disagree. But
I like,
like if you put Jeff
That's
Rickley singing on any song on Relationship and Command, any one of them would be like, that's Thursday.
Kind of,
sure.
yeah, for
or
sure.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, definitely.
But
definitely, I think At the Drive-In had a little more indie sensibility. Nice. What?
Oh, we're good.
Time?
We're good.
No.
I
hit the cable
I was
and
checking
thought
to
I
make
was gonna
sure.
see a
Yeah,
spike,
that's
and
what I thought
did
too.
not.
And I think my favorite band from the emo revival, and I also feel that they released one of my favorite albums of all time, is The World is a Beautiful Place.
Sure.
And I Am No Longer Afraid to Die. I believe that
That is all one band name, by the way.
Yes,
in case,
the world is a beautiful place, and I am no longer afraid to die.
I just
their
popped your
album
lab.
Harmlessness. I think it's one of the greatest records ever fucking written that I've ever personally heard. And I think they're the ones who really captured what the emo revival could be. They were like all the. There were none of the simpleness of emo and all the complexity of it.
Sure.
And the dueling vocals.
Dueling vocals. When I think of dueling vocals, I think of emo.
Yeah,
Take
for
Back
sure.
Sunday.
Well, Fugazi. You know,
Oh, sure.
Take it all the way back.
Taking Back Sunday absolutely perfected it.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they just did it a lot.
Yeah, and it was
Like
great
constantly.
every
It's like,
time.
hey guys, cool it. Even when
I
I was
loved it.
fucking
I
14, I heard it and I'm like, why? Why are you saying so much?
See, that's when I heard Taking
almost
Back
reminded me
Sunday.
of the
That's
Beastie
what I
Boys.
loved.
Tell all
I
your
guess
friends.
I could see that.
In a lot
I
of
could see
ways,
that.
reminded me. It's like it's not necessarily call and response, but like the finish each other's sentences type deal.
We finish each other's sentences.
Finish each other's sandwiches.
You got a sandwich?
No, I don't got to say.
I'm like, baby, let me finish it. It's only lettuce, bro.
Modern baseball.
I don't like them.
Take them or leave them.
I don't.
There's
I'm
a
not.
couple
I'm just
mo-
saying, but
And
they're
I-
one of the
I-
bigger names in the
they're-
revival.
They're probably the
I
biggest
don't
name in
understand,
emo
and I
revival.
don't understand all the sports references in emo.
I was
revival.
gonna say. I was gonna mention American football and modern baseball almost
yeah.
back to back.
Yeah. And so what about Basement?
Well, yeah, Basement had like two big different eras. Like
They do.
Early Basement sounds like Title Fight.
Yeah.
Now Basement sounds like fucking Coldplay or something like. But Basement now is so good.
And definitely part of the emo revivals.
Definitely one of the hugest ones.
Pianos Become Teeth.
Yes.
Early Pianos was
I think of
a
them
lot
as
more
of like
intense.
a screamo.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought of Pianos Become Teeth. Also, if you listen to their old stuff, they're like a screamo, like heavy.
Yeah, and now they're
But
more of
you
a,
listen to their newer albums,
Yeah, it's
a
they're
lot
of
like
piano,
slow
a
and
lot more
A lot of
melodic.
teeth.
yeah. We saw them open for. You said a lot of piano, and he said a lot of teeth.
Oh.
Womp womp. We saw them open for Me Without You, and I hadn't listened to them in probably like 10 years or something, and I was blown away by how like chill and melodic they were. I was expecting them to, they were going to come out and start
No, yeah,
screaming
they're
and
an
stuff,
awesome
and
band.
they're totally different from
I thought the latest record was a little too chill. I
Yeah,
couldn't get into it
sure.
because I was like drifting off into dream world as I listened to it, and I can only do so much of that,
Sure.
What's up, Larry?
We didn't talk. I was thinking of something we didn't talk about. Like, between second and third wave, and that was any band on the Militia Group.
Who?
The Militia Group,
The Militia Group,
Noise
yes.
Ratchet, fucking shit like that. Like,
Yeah,
didn't touch on any of that.
Dude, there's so much. This is a very inside.
We didn't
baseball
talk about fucking
conversation, and-
Recover.
Oh, I saw them open up for Cody and Cambria once. They were awesome.
With Thursday, I think.
And Coheed together?
I think so.
Yeah, the first time I ever saw Coheed was with Movie Life and
Thursday and Recover.
Thursday. No, it wasn't Recover on that tour though. It was in Indianapolis. It was one of the Ghost.
Well,
very.
I
Very,
I was going to say, before we get too deep into any of this stuff,
Well,
we're already running real long.
okay,
So,
okay, all right.
let's-
cool,
let's-
cool.
let's
I had a
try to-
feeling this one was going to go a little
I know.
longer.
I didn't realize it. It's already been almost an hour and a half.
No,
Oh my God.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
we're doing good. This,
Cool.
I
And I
think,
still got like a 2-hour drive to get back home.
okay, so let's
closer.
Andy moved to Detroit.
let's put it. Let's put a cap on all this and just wrap it up with. Let's just.
I'm just say emo is not unlike any other genre, in the fact that it started with a couple root bands in an underground scene that spread and spread. It had its ups and downs. It had its peaks in the mainstream and its peaks in even the strong underground world, and it spawned this sound, spawned that sound, spawned this sound, spawned that sound. It is a bastard child of the punk rock and hardcore world.
Yes.
And and then and even the alt rock world of the early '90s. So much of it, and it's just one of those genres that's going to get made fun of, and it's going to get respected at the same time a lot.
And it's very misunderstood.
It's very
all
misunderstood,
around.
and you can pick and choose which styles you like. Which I definitely do not like all of emo.
Me either.
I
like a lot of it,
I
but some
do
of it,
like a lot of
don't.
it. I do like a lot, but that's how I am with every genre.
Sure,
I
sure.
actually probably dislike more of every genre than I like. I like to
Believe
pick and
that.
Oh yeah,
choose- yeah, take that to the motherfucking bank.
All right. So let's get your plugs in. Where can they find you on social media?
Right now, if you want to, I keep most of my Facebook posts public. So just Andrew Reed, and you can find me on Instagram at indigenous_peoples. Indigenous, like indigenous with an A, because my name's Andy, right? You can follow at the next episode with Andy Reid. I haven't really been posting there too much, and you can follow mine and my girlfriend Rachel's vegan food page, which is Andy_and_Rachel's_plant life. Yeah, keep an eye out for that next episode with Andy Reid.
We'll make sure when that does come out, we'll make sure to tag it on Facebook, and we'll put it
day.
on our page too.
And listen to Rites of Spring, listen to Embrace, listen to Cap and Jazz, listen to Thursday, listen to Taking Back Sunday, listen to fucking Brand New, listen to Christie Front Drive, listen to Jimmy Eat World.
We never talked about Christy Front
I
Drive.
know,
We never talked about
I
the
know.
Juliana theory.
Listen
either.
to oh my God, listen to the Juliana theory. Listen to Fugazi and Mineral and Braid and Texas is the Reason, and get yourself unprogrammed from what MTV in the 90s or in the 2000s told you emo was.
Here's super out there thing though. Emo now is rap.
I wanted to bring up. I wanted to bring up
talk
emo rap.
about it.
I totally wanted to bring up
Hey,
emo
thank
rap,
you
and I
guys
didn't.
so much.
We
Thank
don't
you
have
guys
time.
so much for having me on your podcast.
Thank
I'm
you
really
so much
excited
for
to hear
coming
the
up.
new Goodbye stuff, as I always am. And hey, next time I see you guys live, you better fucking play Gravedigger, or I'm gonna just pee on you.
Well, I kind of
I
like
wanna
being
ju-
peed on.
I want
so
to. Well,
that's not very much.
I want to. I'm gonna jump. You guys play that song so I can jump on the mic with you guys. 'Cause I know every word to it, and we can get it going. But yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I had a really good time.
And I have to give the plugs for JourneyIntoComicsNetwork.com.
What up, Nate?
Journey into Comics has content for everybody. They drop content every day of the week. This episode is dropping on a Friday, and we are on every other Friday on the Journey into Comics Network. Yeah, JourneyIntoComics.com. Check out all their shows. And again, we are going to close out this episode. Oh, you know what? Before I close out, I do want to say I'm going to put together a Spotify playlist of all the bands that we talked about on this episode today, and maybe more. I'm going to let Andy put some.
Yeah,
some
go
songs
ahead
on
and
that.
Andrew Reid on Spotify. If you use Spotify, I make playlists all the time. I have all my playlists are public. I save albums all the time, and I actually have I have so many great playlists that I made myself of full albums of all 90s hardcore, all 80s hardcore, all 2000s hardcore, all 80s or all 90s emo. I'm so bored. I'm so obsessed with songs and albums and stuff like that. Like making playlists like makes me happy. So if you use Spotify, please find me on there and listen to my playlist if you want. I think I do a pretty good job curating stuff.
Well, in the comments section of this episode on our Facebook page, you can find a link to the Crucial Tunes Let's Talk Emo playlist. We'll make sure to get that put together before this episode
Absolutely.
drops. And once again, thanks for tuning in. We're going to close you out with Before I Do by Jay Douglas and the Sullen Hearts. Look them up on Facebook and give them a listen. Thanks,
Emo
guys.
fucking rules.
Somewhere else tonight, alone and getting high, in the thin air on the mountain, under Colorado skies. And I know it's only been 3 weeks, but I'm drunk for the 10th time, lonely in this living room, without you by my side. And I've been hurt before of you. Right now I'm afraid to move. I wanna know I ain't just settling for you, and settling ain't something either of us do anymore. Somewhere else tonight, when we're both here getting high. Sorry I can't always be present all the time, but I'll smile when you laugh, hold you when you cry, and I'll join you in the moments when I'm more than numb inside. And I've been hurt before of you. Do you have the same scars that I do? I wanna tell the heavens and the firmament to move before I do. Before I do. I've been hurt before of you. All I can promise is the truth.